Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. What is going on here? There we go. That's better, right? More homey feel. Good morning, good people. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd, 22nd, 2025. My name is Edward Bevilacqua, and here we are, Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help you, our students, to help our students and interested people on their journey through this life. Through this journey where we have a transcendent soul that continues after death on the trajectory that it's on. And that Jesus was who he said he was, the Creator incarnate, who came down to teach us. And we have to do three things. 1, love God with all our heart and mind and soul. 2, love one another as Jesus loved us. 3, disciples of all people. And those who don't do it will say, Lord, Lord, we did all these things in your name. And will say, I never knew you, because you didn't do the will of my Father, which is to believe me. John 3:16, right? Whoever believeth shall not perish, but have everlasting life. If you obey my commandment, if you love me, you'll obey my commandments, and you will become one with the Father and I. Good morning, what not a bevy. So, it's not the people who are sitting there focused on their personal salvation that are going to be saved, because they're not doing the will of the Father. Love God, love one another, and make disciples. What about the 10 Commandments? What about them? I think Jesus would say, if you followed the commandments but did not have love in your heart, you will not be saved. Anyway, that's our purpose, and we do it in a couple ways. One is the podcast, and another one, the main one, is the worksheet down below. That's where the magic happens. That's where all of the good stuff is. The experts teach, giving us the skills in 4 areas: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Don't take my word for it. Read the worksheet, which is all part of our neuroscience-oriented approach to success. The 4-week course. We are in week 3, day 3. Day 3 of week 3. What's that? Day 3 of week 3. Outside my skull-sized kingdom. Very briefly, just a quick review. Week 1, overview and orientation. Trying to, over this 4-week period, the goal is to answer 2 questions. What are they? Who am I? And why do I behave the way I do? From a neuroscience perspective. Not from a philosophical, not from a sociological, not from a religious, but from a neuroscience perspective. I've got 100 trillion cells in my body. None of them know who I am. None of them care who I am. And yet, they all work together for the common good. I have 86 billion neurons in my skull with 10,000 connections each. How does it work? Who am I? And why do I behave the way I do? With the purpose of being able to dial in who I need to be right now. So if I know who I need to be right now, if I know what the outcome is I want, and I can figure out what do I need to do to get it, and what do I need to do, what do I need to feel to do the things I need to do, what needs to be triggered, what neuroscience, what neurotransmitter, neurohormones need to be released in my system to make me feel the way I need to feel, to get me to behave the way I need to behave in order to get the outcome I want. And what's the belief underlying all that that will release the neurotransmitters, the neurohormones? What is the belief to do that? If I need to run into a burning building, what's the belief I need to have in order to run into the building in a way that's successful? Or if I need to not run into the building, what neurohormones need to be released so I don't run into the building? That's simple. Know how it works so I can dial in who I need to be right now. And that is contained in the worksheet down below. It's the experts. And then, of course, we have the podcast itself. The purpose of the podcast is to build better routines, create a routine, and then repetition. Do it over and over and over again so it becomes unconscious behavior. So I feel weird not doing it. That's it. That's why we be here, people. Okay, our theme of today. Oops. Our memo of today. What is a meme? A meme is an idea that spreads from brain to brain. Theme of today, people don't buy what you do. Okay, cool. We're going to talk about that. Before that, advice from an 80-year-old. Have a grateful heart and be quick to acknowledge those who helped you. Great advice. Have a grateful heart and be quick to acknowledge those who helped you. Righto. When I say right toe, I don't mean my right toe. Right? Okay. That's advice from an 80-year-old. How about Seth Godin? Okay, who stole the Seth Godin? Seth Godin, outcomes and tasks. It's difficult to spend the entire day working on outcomes. Sooner or later, there are tasks to be done. Tasks we believe will get us to the outcome we seek. But it's easy to spend the whole day on tasks. There we go. Failing to recalibrate and ignoring the fact that the tasks might not be helping us get the results we set out to create in the first place. Okay, so my screen flickered. So I had to exit that quickly. I think I have a bad score. Come to the conclusion it's my screen that might be bad, not the cable. Okay, we're 8 minutes in, and what do we got? Get ready now to talk about this week outside my skull-sized kingdom. Again, week 1, overview and orientation. Week 2 was inside my skull-sized kingdom, how neurons, neurotransmitters, and the reticular activating system work to help me answer the 2 questions, and especially to help me dial in who I need to be. Week 3, outside my skull-sized kingdom. So now that I know how my brain works, if I look outside my brain, I see, hey, there's a lot of people out there that think the world revolves around them. I know it revolves around me. I need to get them to help me on my journey, my adventure. And I do that in a positive way, not in a negative way. I don't use the dark side of the force. I use motivation, not intimidation, not coercion, not manipulation. You don't need to do those. And the main reason not to do them is they might work in the short run. They don't work in the long run. And part of it is you have to keep putting in more and more and more energy to keep it going. If you're manipulating people, they're going to try to figure out how to not be manipulated. So you got to put more and more energy into manipulating. And then you might move to intimidation, coercion, etc. And ultimately, you end up creating things like prisons, where you have to spend a lot of money to control people's behavior. And even then, it's really hard. On the other hand, if you motivate people, if you encourage people, if you help people learn, and notice I said help people learn, I didn't say teach them, help them learn. If you help people learn, they will do most of the work. And of course, the ideal situation is if they can self-motivate, if they can motivate themselves. If you can give them a book, here's a book. You can give them a book, here's a book. And they will read it on their own and tell other people about it. Good system. Why does this finger go out more than this finger? Interesting. Okay, good system. Good system. That's what we want to do, is get to the point where we can get people to self-motivate, to motivate themselves. Okay, good. All right, now, week 3. How do we do that? Monday, we started off with David Logan, USC Business School professor, talking about tribes. Tribes are people like us. We are in many, many tribes. You might be in your work tribe, your favorite team tribe, your school tribe, your favorite TV show tribe. We're all your church tribe. There's a lot of tribes we're in. So David Logan says, join a tribe. We're already in tribes and nudge it forward. In other words, be an active participant in trying to make things happen. Nudge it forward. Tuesday, Seth Godin tells us, how do you nudge forward? It's a 4-step process. Step 1, find something to change. Because if you can't find anything to change, you can't really nudge it forward. Step 2, tell a compelling story. Step 3, connect the true believers, ignore the non-believers. So that's like saying, who's coming with me? Here's my compelling story. Who's coming with me? And then step 4 is to lead them. That's it. That's what Seth Godin says is how it works. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Except the question is, well, how do you tell a compelling story? And the compelling story starts with why we need to change the status quo. Not what we're going to change, not how we're going to change it, why we need to change the status quo. Not what we're going to do differently, not how we're going to do it, why we need to change the status quo. And one of the taglines in there is, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And Simon Sinek does a good job distinguishing Apple computer from Hewlett Packard. And he gives the example of, we would never consider buying a telephone from Hewlett Packard or an MP3 device. This goes way back. An MP3 device from Hewlett Packard or Dell. We would never do that. But we have no problem whatsoever buying it from Apple. Why? Everybody has access to the same employees, the same parts, the same suppliers, the same everything. Why is it that Apple is different? And he says the reason is Apple is different is because their story is about why you should buy Apple products, not what the product is, not how the product is better, why you should buy Apple. And it's because Apple is innovative. In everything they do, they try to create a good customer experience or something. I don't remember exactly what the why Apple is, but it's the why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you want it? Why do we need to change the status quo? And then if you think it through, if I believe you in why we need to change the status quo, yeah, I agree. Okay, I'm with you, right? This is why we need to change the status quo. Who agrees? I agree. Great. Now you connected with the true believers. Key thing, ignore the non-true believers. Don't argue with the people who don't see it your way. because you might lose people and you're wasting a lot of energy. The energy you could have put into getting new people, you wasted on trying to get people to change their mind. We don't like it when people disagree with us. We want to argue with them, but the best thing to do is, okay, that's the way you see it. Okay. I'm looking for people who see it a different way. This is why we need to change the status quo, and it's worth it. Okay? And then step 4 is you lead them. So, why do we need to change the status quo? If you can't answer that question, you got to find something else. Last weekend was a big thing about rallies all over the place for no kings rallies. So they're creating a narrative that's saying Trump is trying to be a king. I saw an interesting thing on X this morning about if the things they complain about are true, why is he not doing what the people before him did, the Biden administration did, where they were clamping down on free speech? If he really was against it, why wouldn't he not allow peaceful demonstrations for no kings? Why wouldn't he weaponize social media? If he was against women, why would he have so many women in his administration? If he was against immigrants, why would he have an immigrant wife? Why would J.D. Vance have an immigrant wife? Why would they do these things if they're against them? So it was an interesting thing and then, so all of the things that they're saying he's against, the thing says, well, why would he do this if he's against it? And then and then they go to juxtapose that to the old administration are the ones that were doing these things that were against the people. But applying this no kings rally stuff to the Simon Sinek formula, okay, they're creating a narrative that says we need to change the status quo. Why? Because Trump is acting like a king. And if you don't like Trump and other people are saying this, you'll go along. Then it's the 100th brick theory or something like that, the 99th brick, is if enough people are throwing bricks through plate glass windows, eventually you will do it too, even though you're a good person. You'll do it because you don't want to stand out in a negative way. So if you're anti-Trump, you need to show it by attending a No Kings rally. What did they do on the January 6th when people protested? Arrested them, put them in prison. Okay. Anyway, that's not the point. The point isn't a history lesson. The point is the compelling story is always about why we need to change the status quo. So first you need to know what the status quo is, look around, how are things done here, what do we need to change, and then we come up with the story of why we need to change it. Not how we're going to change it. That happens later. That's when people are on board and they say, okay, I'm with you. What do we do now? That's the leadership part. That's where you tell them what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. That's where you have power, getting people to do what you want. So the compelling story for our case is, here's why I need you to help me on my journey. Here's why I need to help you on my journey. It's going to be great for you too. We're both going to win if you help me on my journey. Because we are on a journey. Okay, we is out of time. What not a bevy. If you're still there, I say have a good day. Maticus von Atticus was not here today, but we few, we happy few, we band of brothers and sisters. Peace be with you. And say a prayer for Gordon Cox, who's getting ready. He's in hospice and he's getting ready for the next step of this journey. Lucky guy, fought the good fight, ran the good race. He was a good, still is, a good guy, good, faithful guy. And we should be sad that we're not going to see him, but we should be proud of him because he fought the good fight, ran the good race, etc., etc. And with that, we're going to say and cut.